Hello, I'm Debbie Holloway with Crosswalk.com, and today we're speaking with Ken Coleman, the author of One Question from Howard Publishing. Who are some of those leading voices that you got to contribute to this book?
Yeah, well, we've got an incredible lineup, heavy business lineup. In fact, many of the best-selling business authors of the last decade are in the book and take one question, a unique question each from me. Folks like Anthony Robbins, Jim Collins, Seth Godin, Malcolm Gladwell, Pat Lencioni, John Maxwell, Daniel Pink, just to name a few of the big business names. Dan Cathy, the CEO of Chick-fil-A, is in there. Jimmy Carter, President of the United States. U.S. Senator John McCain, Tony Dungy, Pat Summitt. So, I mean, we really went after a strong line of people because I really did want to hammer this idea home. If you could create a list of the people you admire most in your life, whether they're famous or not, and you could sit down with them and ask just one question, what would you ask them?
What were some of the topics and questions that you guys touched on?
Through the sections Succeeding, we talk about finding your niche. We start the book off with John Maxwell, this idea of finding your sweet spot. I talk about this a lot, the intersection of your great strength and great passion. We talk about failure, right? This idea that as we succeed, we will fail. This is just a reality. And then we move forward into this idea of surviving, right? What happens when we find difficult people in our life, right? What happens when we strike out and go for something and it just simply doesn't work? And then, of course, just picking a couple topics as we move towards the last section of the book, this idea of sustaining. This is how do we as leaders, how do we take what we've learned, how do we pass it on to the next generation? How do we do that? And then, of course, how do we reinvent ourselves? I asked Jimmy Carter that, a man who has reinvented himself so magnificently post-presidency. So that's just a quick snapshot of a couple topics from the section, but it really is a fantastic book of wisdom that is as relevant today as it will be 30 years from now.